As you can see, we are back in front of the green screen for another amazing video by yours truly. Today's video, though, is going to be weirdest cartoon shows that I have personally watched. If you don't really know me, I grew up watching majority of cartoons. You name it, Cartoon Network, Boomerang. I was on Boomerang with it. Nickelodeon. You had Kit Butowski on Disney XD. All platforms. If you had a cartoon and it was a banger, I'm watching that mug. Now, the first one isn't a cartoon. It is a puppeted show, so I'm gonna go ahead and give it a pass. But if you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe, and be sure to join the Discord as well so you know when I post on all my platforms and to be included in future videos down the road. The first show that we're going to talk about here today is Mr. Meaty. This was a show that I was talking about in the beginning that isn't necessarily a cartoon show. It is a puppeted show, but that is okay. We're going to let it slide. We're going to let it slide. It aired back in 2006 to 2009, had a few seasons. It was based off two teens working in a fast food place inside of a mall. Their names were Josh and Parker. Josh was the tall, skinny one, come over. Parker was the shorter, fatter kind of. My favorite was Parker. I fucked with Parker heavy. I don't know why, but it was just something about Parker. They were both chopped as shit, both ugly as hell. But I fucked with Parker more. Mr. Meaty was a very off-candy show. I got a lot of weird vibes watching it. I don't remember watching Mr. Meaty while the sun being up at the same time. I was always in bed. It was roughly 9 o'clock, demon hours at night. I just remember being a kid, watching a few more TV shows before I got to go hit the hay. I used to be excited when Mr. Meaty came on. I don't know what it was. It was appalling, but at the same time, it brought me in. You know what I mean? It pushed me away, but it brought me back in to see what would happen in the next episode. I don't know if y'all remember the tapeworm episode. It's one of the most infamous ones from Mr. Meaty, if I do say so myself. I believe Parker ate raw meat or something along those lines. He ate something and he got a tapeworm from it. They had I guess a visual puppeted tapeworm that was inside of Parker, and he was eating absolutely everything in the building while the tapeworm was in him. It was very, not vulgar, but it was just, it was a lot for a child, I feel like, at that time. Because in 2006, 2009, 2006, I'm 4, 2009, I'm 7. So about 4 to 7, I'm you know, indulging in Mr. Meaty. Probably one reason I am the way today, because of the things I watched at a younger age. But we're not gonna talk about that, and that's none of your business what all I watched, because this ain't even scratching the surface. Another crazy episode was when Parker gave birth to an alien baby. A new burger caused mind control and new customers. There was also an episode of Josh Off, where Josh clones himself to impress girls, and then the clone steals his life. I mean, a lot of these episodes are really weird. You could never guess what was gonna happen. I guess by the title you could a little bit. You never knew what you were getting yourself into while watching Mr. Meaty. I love Mr. Meaty. I would watch it now if they brought it back. Will they ever? Absolutely not. This shit ended in 2009. We're in the big 25. It's gone. It's never coming back. The next TV show is something that only lasted 1 year. I really don't think a lot of people will know what I'm talking about when I say this, but maybe when I put it on the screen. The show I'm talking about is Secret Mountain Force Awesome. It only lasted a year, from 2011 to 2012. I was roughly 2012, I was what, 10, so 2011, I was like 9. So around that time, I was about 9 to 10 years old when this show was coming on. I remember coming home from school and seeing a figure covered in booty cheeks from head to toe, all the way down to his knees. Then you had another guy, I believe he was like some green rolling thing, kind of reminded me of Meatwad if I remember correctly. It's a very distant memory. I don't remember it too clearly. I don't really remember what the hell was going on. It was always something different. It was always kind of stressful, and I was always lost, but at the same time I was hooked in and watching it at the same time. Fun fact, the people who made this show also made Uncle Grandpa's. Apparently the art style was inspired by Ren and Stimpy. Ren and Stimpy almost made this list, but I decided not to put them on there because I didn't grow up necessarily watching it, but I do remember very early in my childhood, early 2000s, that they would, you know, have their reruns come on or whatever, and I would definitely sit there and watch them through and through. I have Ren and Stimpy gibbets on my Crocs, I swear to you. You think I'm lying? You think I'm lying? Shows back then were unhinged. Everybody knows that Ren and Stimpy was freaked out of their minds when they were making those episodes, and you know, I loved it. The show didn't really last too long. Like I said, only from 2011 to 2012. It was only a year. But they did get an Emmy Award for Outstanding Individual Achievement in Animation. I know none of y'all know what that means, neither do I. They did somehow win an Emmy off a show that only lasted 1 year, and arguably one of the trashiest shows of all time. The next show I want to talk about is the show Problem Solvers. I know there's some people that are out there that have seen this show. Personally, I feel like I'm the only person who have ever watched this show. It didn't last long. It only lasted in 2011, didn't even get another year. They gave him one shot, and it's also known as one of the worst Cartoon Network shows of all time, but it had a weird feeling to it that made me want to keep watching it. I believe it was all the vibrant colors and my potential ADHD at the time and whatever else people try to diagnose me with. The show had 3 main characters, Alfie, Horace, and Roba. They say Alfie was this big fuzzy dog man hybrid. If you look at this man, that is not a dog hybrid. I don't know what that is, but it looks like the big coffee bean from the regular show episode. There's no dog. There is not a single animal that you could find that looks just like this. He was the craziest out of everybody, doing the most craziest things. Then you had Horace and Roba, 2 twin brothers, one of them being a robot and the other one just being a normal human. So I guess that's what that was. Watching this show is probably like going down Times Square and being on an copious amounts of hallucinogens and being around all the lights and all the flashing colors and different people walking around, never knowing where you are, what's going on. All the colors in the show were very neon, very in your face, very punching. Another one of those shows where you never knew what was going to happen next. I never knew the plot. I just know that they solved problems. I don't remember too much of the show from, like I said, it only lasted in 2011. They didn't get another year. That was it. 2011 was their cutoff. They were tired of the tomfoolery. They were tired of the shenanigans, so they packed that shit up. Apparently the show was also a small web series online before Cartoon Network picked it up. I wonder if Cartoon Network regrets that decision since it only lasted not even a year. They might have a little regrets on that. They had 26 episodes. Fun fact, the creator of Problem Solvers also worked on Adventure Time and The Amazing World of Gumball. Technically, you have seen some of the work from the creators of this show and you had no idea. It kind of makes sense why The Amazing World of Gumball is the way it is. The very different art styles and stuff mixed in, so they probably wanted his freak ass to get in there and get in the mix. Some of the problems that they ended up having to solve in the show is a giant pizza attacking the city, Alfie becoming a video game character. That episode I do remember. Everything else in this show felt like a fever dream and I really don't remember anything outside of that, and everything being very neon. Now this next show I would say is a historic show, lasted all the way from 2005 all the way to a big 2021. I'm guessing COVID got a hold of them and took them on up through there. Hate to see that. I love this show. A lot of people love this show as well. Hence the reason why I had so many seasons in the first place. But I am talking about Squidbillies. Squidbillies is I guess you could say, a family of squids living in a very rural part of Georgia. I think that's one reason why I grabbed onto it so much, because I found out they were living in Georgia and I'm from Georgia. So I gotta support the Georgians. That's just how I am. If you're from Georgia, I'm gonna support you for the most part, unless you're an asshole or a horrible person, then you need to leave and then I don't claim you. The show has very strong Southern stereotypes, dark humor, and a lot of stuff that made you seem like, what the hell did I even just watch? Which is why it's on this list. Yes, it lasted a very long time. Yes, it was very loved, but at the end of the day, this is still one of the weirdest shows I've ever seen. They have 4 main characters, Early, Rusty, Granny, and Sheriff. Early was the main character. He had a different hat on every single episode and always said something kind of wild. He also had a kid, which is named Rusty. Then you had Granny, which is Early's mother and Rusty's grandmother, of course. And then you had the Sheriff, but I don't really remember what he looks like too much. Some crazy moments from this show is Rusty becomes a rap god named Lil Rusty and beefs with his dad. That episode I do remember. He was kind of like that rebellious kid, like, yeah, I don't need you, da 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 da. And you know what I'm saying? He's rapping. He's spitting bars. He was rapping. Let's hear a freestyle. It's gonna be messed up if I couldn't find a clip of that. I'm just gonna be staring at the green screen. From my notes here, the Granny explodes into meat chunks in multiple episodes, and somehow she survives and comes back every single episode. Granny's always gonna stay around no matter what you do, whether if you like it or you don't. The show ran on for over 100 episodes. You would assume so, since it almost lasted 2 damn decades, but it had 13 seasons. I don't remember when I stopped necessarily watching it. I just stopped watching it whenever I didn't see it on the TV anymore, or I just moved on to bigger, greater things as I was growing older. They're cutting grass outside right now, so hopefully it's not being picked up by the mic, but I really don't think it is. I bet you didn't know this either. The main character, the main squid, Early himself, was voiced by Tracy goddamn Morgan. Shout out Tracy Morgan, man. This next show, I feel like a lot of people have never heard of. This is why it's last. This show lasted only half the time of the Problem Solvers. And if you know what I'm talking about, then you would know I'm talking about The Oblongs. Apparently the show originally came out in 2001 on the WB channel, but I wasn't around to watch that because I was born in 2002. So it did eventually rerun on Adult Swim, and that's where I found it. And apparently a lot more people found it as well, because apparently, according to my studies, The Oblongs gained some sort of a cult following. Am I in that cult? No. know. The show was kind of messed up. It had, I guess you could say, a deep meaning, but not really. It was set in a very divided city where the rich lived up on quite literally what they call the hill, and the poor people lived in these very polluted, radiated city filled with different people of deformities caused by the pollution from the people that lived on the hill. The main characters were Bob, Pickles, Milo, Ben and Chip, and Beth. It was 5 people that lived in one home. Bob was the dad. He had no arms, no legs. He was just a cylindrical, kind of a hot dog looking guy with a big circle head. Pickles is Bob's wife, who used to live up on the hill. I'm not really sure how they ended up meeting, but she had to move down to the bottom of the hill because she started dating Bob, and I'm guessing she got shunned and exiled from the hill. Milo is the son of them two. He's basically the main character. I believe his quirk is that he has mental disabilities. It's kind of following his life as he's going through school and dealing with different kinds of different people throughout the show, even though it didn't last that long, so we didn't really get to see too much. Biff and Chip were 2 brothers, but they were conjoined. Really, the only thing I know about them is that they like to play sports a lot. We didn't really see too much of them in the show, if I remember correctly, and from what I did in my very brief 15-minute research. Then there's Beth, who is the youngest. She's a little bitty girl. She's very sweet, very nice, but she has a small little tumor on the top of her head and is very visible. So that is her quirk. Those are the big 5 of the oblongs. Very strange, very quirky, very weird. Apparently a lot of people compare this show to Invader Zim. I would say it's nowhere near Invader Zim. Invader Zim is definitely one of my top 10 cartoon shows of all time that I've ever watched. Love that show. Shout out Gur. I hope the voice actor of the Gur is doing great. At the end of the day, the show did have some demon qualities. It made jokes about class division, pollution, and social inequalities that opened a lot of people's eyes to what's really going on. Some crazy moments from the shows where Milo tried to get a bunch of ugly people and rebel against the rich kids at school, if I'm not mistaken. And another one is where Pickles, Bob's wife, who's not deformed, tried to enter a beauty pageant for deformed women. And if I'm not wrong, she did not win. One episode, the town sludge turns somebody's skin inside out and nobody even pays it any attention or notices that this has happened to that person. What are some of the wildest, craziest cartoons that you remember watching as a kid or that you still watch to this day? Give me some crazy stories about shows that you remember watching that you feel like nobody else watched, like you're living in a paradox. I really hope y'all enjoyed that video. Be sure to check out the other videos. Be sure to join the Discord as well. I'm really sorry about the lawnmower in the second half of this video. I really hope you can hear it. Be sure to like, subscribe if you enjoyed, join the Discord so you can be involved in future videos. And yeah, man, I'm out.